the month of fishing can be pretty tough, and there's a time where you're going to go to your technique. Well, today in this video, our pros from Bass Fishing Declassified is about to give you their go-to technique in the month of August.
Bass Fishing Declassified is brought to you by Fish the Moment, and a few ways that you can support the channel is one, by subscribing to the channel. You also can check out fishthemoment.com and seeing the options and products that we have on the website. Also, you can go to the other anglers on the Bass Fishing Declassified team's YouTube channel, subscribe to their channels as well if you enjoy their segments in the video. We appreciate you guys. Now let's get to the video.
Hey guys, Cortiana here with Bass Fishing Declassified. Real quick, I'm going to tell you what I think is the easiest way to go out and catch fish in the month of August. It really doesn't matter if you're in a lowland reservoir or a highland reservoir, but in the month of August, if you just want to go out there and catch fish and have fun, or if you're a beginner, the easiest way to do that is to rig you up a shaky head with a young finesse worm. It really, it's a fun way to fish. It's a simple idea and concept to understand of how to cast the bait. But anyway, so these are the two baits I'd tell you to go get. This is the Yum Finesse Worm. We got it in green pumpkin, and this one is in plum. So I love reds in the summer month, but of course you got to have a green pumpkin if you got really good water clarity. I love the green pumpkin because the fishes seem to be drawn to that natural color. The Yum Finesse Worm fits perfectly on the Trocar Scorpion Shaky Head. Now this is an 1/8 ounce, and this is what I'm going to recommend. They've got it with green pumpkin, so you can pair with the green pumpkin. They've also got it in a black head, and they've got it heavier. This is a 1/4 ounce. But I'm going to recommend tying it on to a spinning rod, a 7-foot medium heavy Kistler KLX. Throw it on braid with like a fluorocarbon leader, or if you're just getting into it, you can throw it on straight braid. You can throw it on straight fluorocarbon leader. But if you're gonna go braid to leader, I'm gonna do like 15 to 30 pound braid on my spinning rod, and I'm gonna go to like a 10-pound leader. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna go around the lake, you're gonna fish main points, secondary points, docks, any kind of piece of wood. This is very weedless. And you're just gonna throw that thing up there and try to hop it along the structure, whether it's wood, rock, around the docks. And the reason I'm gonna tell you to go with the 1/8 ounce, you're gonna get a lot slower rate of fall. And there's something about summer fish. They're looking for an easy meal, but a bigger meal. This Yum Finesse Worm, it looks bigger, but it's also kind of finessey, so it kind of suits both worlds. You get that slow rate of fall. They'll just come out there and grab it. If you're flipping it around a dock or crossbars, it's slow and it comes up, and they'll just grab it and swim back up under the dock with it. If you're dragging it over rocks, it's really lightweight, so you don't get hung up near as much. It's got a really fantastic sharp hook. Again, this is the TKSH 1/8 GP, but just remember the Scorpion Shaky Head. And it's got a great bait keeper on this. I've done multiple videos showing you how to catch fish on this, so go back and look at some of the archives from the Bass Fishing Declassified. But that is the easiest way to get out there and do that. Don't forget, you can get your Yum baits at lurenet.com. Use my coupon code Cortiana15, saves you 15%. Go out there, have fun, catch some fish, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Summer fishing can be so frustrating at times, as you've got the hottest water temperature of the year, which generally pushes a lot of fish deep. It makes a lot of fish suspend. But I tell you what, there's still going to be some fish that are always up along the bank. They're going to be utilizing shade lines. They're going to be utilizing any isolated cover that's up on the banks. And therefore, one of my absolute go-tos for fishing during this hot water period is a wacky rig, guys. This is a foolproof approach to catching some fish. It's not necessarily always going to locate the biggest schools of fish, but if you're struggling and you want to catch some fish, this is a great way to go about it. Now, specifically for me, I recently won a tournament on the Mississippi River where I had a very, very tough practice. So what did I do? I picked up the wacky rig. I took this out. I went down a grass line, pitching it into any isolated hole I could find. It was a big eelgrass line. There were little holes within that, anywhere from basketball sized up to the size of my boat. I would throw the wacky rig in there and just let it sink to the bottom. And that's the key here. You know, that was right at the beginning of August. So you've got water period where the water is really warm. The fish are up roaming the bank, roaming these big flats. Maybe there's bigger schools to be found elsewhere, but I was able to cover enough water where I got enough bites throughout the day to win me that event. But you can do this anywhere. You can do it up north where I live. You can do it down south. Basically, what you're looking for are areas that have good isolated cover. So You're going to concentrate on your docks. You're going to concentrate on some overhanging trees that create shade lines. Maybe you've got some bridge pilings. Maybe you've got pinch points where you've got a little bit of current. You take your wacky rig, you throw it into those isolated areas, you let it fall weightless. You're going to generate some bites, and you might be impressed with the size of your bites as well. It's not uncommon to find some big fish that are up cruising the bank all day long during the summer months. This happens if you've got lakes that have a lot of bluegill, where you've got bluegill spawns going on. You can throw a wacky rig up into those honeycombs of bluegill beds. It's all about covering water and all about putting your bait into those isolated areas. Now, I'm not necessarily sitting here saying you got to go and cover miles upon miles of water making one random cast here and there. I think you're better just trying to concentrate on those isolated pieces of cover versus fishing open straight bank. That's really the key here. But if you're struggling to get bit and you don't want to fish deep, or maybe you're struggling to fish for suspended fish, grab yourself a wacky rig. You know, this is just a 5-inch Berkley Maxcent the General. I've got it on a finesse wide gap hook here. This is my favorite wacky rig setup. I take this out there and I go fish. Any cover that looks like a bass should be holding on it. You're probably going to catch some here and there. So it's a really good way to save a bad outing on the water. You're struggling throwing a crankbait, struggling throwing whatever else it is. Pick up a wacky rig, get on the bank, find your isolated targets, and you'll catch some fish.
Okay guys, my segment here for a go-to technique, man, I'm going to go back to my roots. I'm going to go back to fishing when I was fishing ponds, and even early in my fishing in a boat experience during this month, okay? And even in a boat, I would still use these lures when it gets hard and tough. And I have confidence in these lures. The first one I'm going to talk about, since I have two. I know the other guys had one, but I'm going to. The first one is a frog, okay? I love throwing a frog this time of year. This is the Toad Thumper right here. I got both their frogs, the walking and their little popping frog, okay? Why I like throwing a frog this time of year? If you're fishing a pond, it's easy to throw a frog from the bank. And typically it will catch big fish in your ponds and in a lake as well. But if I'm fishing a clear body of water style lake, I'm not just gonna go throw a frog. The thing about throwing a frog is it's good to throw around cover, and so for example, if I'm fishing a lake that has docks, there's a laydown, or if there is, you know, if these lakes have submerged vegetation and they start getting, you know, they start going down because of the water levels, because we've not had much rain, and that submergent vegetation starts matting up, frog's great to throw at it to catch big fish, and you can catch numbers, but I'm trying to catch big fish. And so for a pond, man, this is great, okay? Small body of water, throwing a frog. All right, guys, I like these frogs right here. I'm throwing a frog on a Denali Attack 7.4, I believe it's a Tennessee edition style rod. I'll put it in the description. It's one of their Attack series. They have 3 regional series. But guys, my first choice is the second option, my second go-to, and this man goes back to fishing ponds, early fishing in smaller lakes and big lakes as well though, okay? Even right now, I mean, this is a go-to technique for me. It is a Texas rig soft plastic worm. Now I have 4 different worms right here, okay? I have 3 big worms I'll talk about. Then I have this right here, this little stick worm style, okay? Little, you know, Cinco style worm. Now this is the Big Bite Baits soft plastic Nico worm. I forgot the word, Nico trick worm maybe, to be exact. I'll put the link in the description. I like throwing this worm by Big Bite Baits, their style, the Cinco, because it already has, if you can see it there on my camera, I always forget my camera's right there, this has the little wacky rig, little circle already put in there, so you don't gotta have this special little rubber thing if you want to go wacky rig with it, or Nico style. You can still Texas rig this with a 3/0 hook. I like to Texas rig it with a light little weight. For some reason with me, I've always caught fish throwing these things on the Texas rig. I know some guys are really good with it with the wacky rig. I mean, I've caught fish with it, but it's just not always been, it's just in luck for me maybe, okay? But this is just one of my, okay, go-to techniques, and definitely right now. Not many people are throwing this because they're throwing these dudes, all right? And I'm throwing these dudes, okay? I got 3 big worms right here. Got the 6-inch Busa worm. I got the old reliable Zumo Monster. I mean, this thing has been catching fish for a long time. I tried to not catch fish with this for you guys for videos, but there's been a few out there where this comes through. And this is the crime scene, the Big Bite Baits B2 worms. That one little weird color I like to throw that's caught some fish when they're not eating the reds, okay? Guys, I will throw this at shallow cover. I will throw it at laydowns. Even a recent trip at Lake Nimrod that I took on another video, we caught these on some laydowns. I mean, you can flip these around docks, lily pads, you can fish brush piles. These catch fish everywhere. Definitely down here in the south, okay? Down here for the south, into Texas, Louisiana. For some reason, man, these fish love big worms, okay? I throw these on a 7.2 rod. I have a 7.6 rod I throw them on, but man, a 7.2 is going to be good. I'll put, there's a Denali Attacks I like, 7.2 medium heavy. And like I said, the covert light I throw as well, but I'll put that Denali Attacks in the description. Okay, guys, hey, these are the go-to techniques. What is your go-to techniques?